G'day everyone, this is John Edwards here with Edwards Guitars. Listen, just wanted to share this one with you. I'm getting ready to close up the box on guitar number 19. This is Silky Oak. It's got a beautiful, beautiful pattern. It's going to have a spruce top, master grade spruce, Silky Oak back and sides, and going to be getting an American oak neck, which is going to be a beautiful thing. But I wanted to show you a little bit of the process, what we do when we're closing up the box. There's several things. We have to notch the sides to allow the bracing to get into the linings and things like that, which I've already got that done. Then we do a final cleanup on the interior of the guitar, and some builders do this, some don't. I prefer to do it personally, and that is I coat the inside with shellac, and it just adds maybe another layer of protection, lets the timber get sealed up really nicely, and overall it just beautifies the guitar really. So I wanted to share that with you just a little bit. One of the reasons why I love doing this so much is that I love to see timber come alive, and that's what we're getting ready to experience right here. So let me get this camera set up, and that way you all can have a very good view of what's getting ready to happen. And most importantly, you'll get to see how the wood just comes alive. All right, so I'm not going to talk your ears off. I'm just going to let you watch and listen. The shellac that I'm using is what we call a 1 pound cut, and it gives us a really nice coat. One thing about the Silky Oak is that it's very porous, and so you want to make sure you get plenty on there because it will really soak it up. The other thing that I will say about the shellac is that this is what we call a blonde shellac. So it is a very light color. So what you're seeing where the wood is going so dark, that's just simply the way the wood takes on the shellac and what it looks like basically when the wood gets wet. So this is not a stain by any stretch of the imagination. This is simply shellac, which is just sealing this and making it a bit more stable. Some of you may be wondering about the braces that I've got here. The back braces are actually a combination of different woods. Typically a guitar will have internal bracing that is primarily spruce, but in this case what I like to do is sometimes I'll use some hardwoods on my back braces. And that will stiffen up the back considerably and make it more reflective. This particular guitar here has got some incredible tone that's coming out of it just from the back, and the back having the type of bracing that it is at the moment. So what I have used, these first three braces are what's called red cedar. That's an Australian timber. And then the last brace here on the back side here, that is silky oak. Okay, so there's a few different types. I especially love the cedar combo with the silky oak, especially because the cedar is lightweight, which pairs nicely with the silky oak, which is also a lightweight timber. But the stiffness of it really gives you a great combination with this silky oak as well. And I'm just going to say that it has, with the bracing in there, it has probably some of the best tap tone I've ever seen in any of the backs of guitars that I've made so far. And this is directly related to this bracing. Some of you that have seen my other videos will remember the stained glass guitar that I did. And the stained glass guitar, that one was an extremely lightweight guitar, but wow, did it have some amazing sound. So, you know, that is partly due to the use of the silky oak for your timber. It's a hardwood timber, but it is very, very lightweight. And then also the cedar as the bracing. I use the cedar as the bracing on the back as well. And I cannot be more pleased with the outcome that we achieved on that guitar. And this one's going to be a special one as well. I can already tell just from playing around with it a little bit. This is going to have some outstanding sound. And so I can't wait to see what it's going to sound like. Doesn't that look amazing? I love the way the silky oak takes on this shellac, and you really get to see the grain pattern running through it, all the medullary rays going through the surface there. It's absolutely beautiful. And you only get those medullary rays showing up like this when the timber is perfectly quarter sawn. With silky oak especially, if it's not perfectly quarter sawn, you'll get a different pattern that shows up. And it's kind of the telltale sign as to whether or not it's a true quarter sawn piece of timber. And of course, the reason we want the quarter sawn is because the quarter sawn is more stable when you're dealing with various climates and various conditions of humidity, which you typically want your guitar to stay at about 50% humidity, especially higher end guitars, and that will just help the overall life, longevity of the guitar. And so it's just a couple things to note for those of you that do play some very, very fine instruments. And that's just about got the back. And so now I'm going to set this so that I can do the same thing to our sides. But I'll try to set this where you will be able to still watch the process. And I might have to shed a little light on the subject as well. One thing that we want to be careful of when we're doing this is we absolutely do not want any kind of shellac getting on this part of the surface of the rims, because if you get it on the rims like that, the glue will refuse to hold. Okay, so it's very important that you keep any shellac away from that surface. If by some chance you do get it on there, it's not the end of the world. You can always sand it back a little bit, and that'll clean that up enough to let you get a good gluing surface. But ask me how I know all about that. You make mistakes, you learn from the mistakes, and you apply what you learn and share the knowledge with other people, hopefully. So that was on the fourth guitar that I ever built. I accidentally got some shellac on that area, and whenever I finished gluing the top onto the back and sides and began to go through the process of getting everything sanded back, the top turned loose from the sides, and I had to go through and figure out some ways that I could sand the rims and get it looking right without it becoming a huge mess. So that was an interesting learning curve, and I learned a lot through all of that. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to learn, that's for sure. But I'd rather learn from someone else's mistakes than my own. So don't know if you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to do it where you can have a better view of everything. I'm gonna need a little more shellac. So you'll see as soon as I get up here to this area, I'm just trying to get it on the sides, not necessarily wanting it on the top, because if you get it on the top, you'll have to sand it back off, which doesn't take a lot of work, but it's just one of those things that you try to avoid if you can. Okay. That's one side done. One of the other things I do whenever it comes to building is I always do my tail block and my neck block out of a really, really high-end, nice quality plywood. And there's some various ideas about, you know, what to use, and some people claim that it's better to have it where the wood grain is running in line with the grain of the sides. And a lot of people use a mahogany tail block and neck block, which is fine. They work great. But in my way of thinking, and some of the ones who taught me about building guitars, whenever you look at an area and you're trying to maintain something, keep it nice and stable, the fact that plywood has wood grain that goes both directions, it will maintain stability much better than if you had wood grain that's just going in one direction. Does it mean that the guitar will sound any better or worse? No, it has nothing to do with the sound. This is all about the longevity of the guitar and having strength in the right places. And that's one of the things that I do particularly because I think it does add to the strength of the guitar. And the other thing is it's in an area that isn't requiring beautification of any sort. And so because of that, you're not needing to do anything particularly to it to make it something that's pretty to look at because of where it's located. So I say, my goodness, why not go with something that is going to be very stable, good and strong, give you maybe a little bit extra life over the span, over the time you have this guitar, you know. So that's just one of the things that I do, just to increase that maybe a little bit. Hopefully you can still see. I'm trying to do two things here. I don't have my cameraman in here with me, which is typically myself, but sometimes I'll have one of the kids come out and give me a hand, which they enjoy that. So now the interesting thing with this, if you notice what I had mentioned before about the pattern of the Silky oak, if you look at the difference between the sides versus the back, you'll find that the sides have kind of more of a, kind of like a spotted leopard kind of thing happening, where they have spots, whereas the back looks a little bit more like ripples. And that's because the sides are cut on just a slight different angle when they were resawn. And so the quarter sawn aspect is still there, but it is just slightly different. And then the side braces that I have here, that is spruce. And they do add some strength into the sides, but they also help out, like if you have timber that gets cracked, if the crack begins running the length of the wood grain, those blocks there are there to stop the crack from going any further. And they work quite well. All right, so just a little bit more here, and this is going to be done. We'll give this a little bit of a chance to dry. Shellac doesn't need a lot of time to dry. In fact, what we've already done on the back will already be dry to the touch. So if I wanted to, I could go ahead and begin working on that a little bit more, doing various things. One of the next things that we're going to do on this one is it's going to be time to put the sticker in. And that is always a lot of fun, and I enjoy that. That's a big moment in the build process. So just one more bit here to do on the neck block. Now this will get a bolt-on neck, which there's a very interesting way that I have of doing the bolt-on neck, and it is extremely strong and very easy to get done properly. And then last but not least, I know you guys enjoy seeing the side of the guitar mold. But last but not least, we'll also do the inside of our top. All right, I'll show that to you in just a moment, but we'll finish up with the inside of this. Let this dry, and then we'll do the inside of the top, and then go from there. Because from here, the next thing that I'll be doing is I will be gluing the top on, and so that will have the box closed up. And once you get the box closed up, typically you're about halfway done with the guitar. So it's always a big moment when that happens. So someone once told me that when you're building guitars, the first 90% is the build process, and the second 90% is the finishing process. And I know for you mathwits out there that's probably doing your head in a little bit, but when you're building guitars, that feels that way, that it takes that much time when you get to the finishing stages. So, okay. So let me show you a little bit about what that guitar inside looks like now. Check out that wood grain. Isn't that beautiful? And that's the Silky oak. It's very, very beautiful grain pattern, and I'm looking forward to what this guitar is going to turn out like in the near future. Now, I said I was going to do the inside of the top, so I'll just bring that over here right now, and we'll do that as well. Now, one of the things that I find that's very interesting, you always want to make sure you see the line that I have drawn on here. That's about 10 or 15 mils inside the edge of the guitar. And what that does is that makes me a line that says, don't get any shellac in that area, because that area, I want to have a gluing surface through here that is free of shellac on the sides, but also on the tops. And so that's why I've had that line drawn. So I'm just going to go ahead and seal off the interior. Now this guitar is going to have, it has steepled and scalloped bracing, and this is some great spruce. On the bridge plate here, we also have Silky oak for our bridge plate, and one of the reasons why I love the Silky oak for a bridge plate is it's a great hardwood and it's very, very lightweight. In some applications, it's almost half the weight of what you would need for, like for instance, if you were to use a bridge. I said half the weight. It's about a third less of the weight. For instance, if you're doing a bridge with rosewood, Silky oak is going to come in much lighter. When it comes to your bridge and things, lighter is better because it allows the top to move and breathe. And I don't know if you realize this, but guitars like to breathe. In fact, if you have a really nice guitar, if you tap the top, you should feel a nice breath of air that comes out of the guitar body. If you don't, it's probably because you have a guitar that was built for warranty's sake as opposed to sound. If you go to a music store and you go check out their various guitars, they'll have some there that are very pretty to look at, made out of some beautiful timbers, but when you tap the top of it, nothing happens. And that's because they have been built so that they don't come back in a few months or years for warranty issues. But in doing so, what they wind up doing is sacrificing sound as opposed to quality. So that's just little information for you that maybe you didn't know about, but it's a wonderful thing whenever you build a guitar and you tap it and you can feel this breath of air coming out of the interior of the guitar. You know that you're going to have some amazing sound comes out. So this shellac that I'm using, it's the same type of shellac that I used on the inside of the guitar, on the back and sides. You'll notice that the spruce, it takes on a little bit of color, but it doesn't go nearly as dark as, say, the Silky oak here, right? It takes on a little bit of a blonde color, but not much. So it's as I said before, it's not a stain. This is just a sealer, and it's something that will help the life of the guitar overall and help it to maintain the level of humidities and different things like that. So it's very important. One of the other things that I do on my bracing, I don't know if you'll be able to see it very well from that angle of the video, but I always, when I do my bracing, I do all of these, I shape them by hand with my chisel, and then I always sand them back to 240 grit. It's just something that I do on all of my guitars. And it's one of the things that I think is a bit of a quality control measure that ensures that the instrument has had lots of tender loving care, and that every aspect of it has been gone over thoroughly by myself and anyone that I'm in the process of teaching how to build an instrument. yes, this is very relaxing as well. I do quite enjoy this process. Just a little bit of beautifying going on, and just sit back, relax, and color in the lines. One of the things you may notice on this guitar particularly is the area here around the sound hole. I always try to make sure that I do a couple of things. One, I do a doubler plate. So the doubler plate is going to have a piece of spruce. Usually it comes from the same piece as the rest of the top, but this piece of spruce is going to have the wood grain running perpendicular to the grain at the top. That's going to strengthen up the sound hole area considerably. And then also I've got these 3 side braces here just to add that little bit of extra strength to the guitar, because it's a very weak area, that we have right there, being as we have the sound hole located there. So we've got to compensate for that by beefing this area up a little bit. Has nothing to do with the way the guitar sounds, everything to do with longevity of the instrument. So. Just the last little bit here, and that'll be done. This piece of timber right here is something called King Billy pine, which is an Australian timber that is a hard timber to find. But it is absolutely amazing whenever it comes to building guitars, especially using it for tops. I've got one on the bench right now that is currently curing. It's been sprayed this past week. We just sprayed it, and now it's in the process of letting the lacquer cure, and should be ready to put some strings on and things like that in about 5 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. And I know my good mate that's getting that guitar is also very excited about it. He's been waiting just a little longer than most for this one, but it'll be well worth the wait. Okay, final steps are just doing a little bit of cleanup, making sure I've stayed inside the lines. If I've gotten out of the lines or something like that, it's time to hit it with just a little bit of sanding. But then primarily that is just about finished. And I've got one more thing to do on that top, which every good luthier build a guitar, and before they close up the top, they always like to take a pen, and they'll typically sign their name right here and give a date. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And today is the, let me think about it, very good. So that has gotten that done. Last thing to do before I glue this up is to get my labels and give this guitar some respectability. So let me just do that now. All right, and there we have it. That's the latest Edwards model. And we'll have some more videos here very soon dealing with closing up the top and going from there. Thanks for watching.